You're listening to the PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment.
Go Tigers, 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 go Tigers.
You're now listening to Tuff Tiger Talk with Big Q and the guys on the Pro Media Network.
What's going on, fam? You're now rolling with Tuff Tiger Talk on the PRO Media Network. Coming at you, I'm Big Q on this one. Recapping, number 20, LSU's 41-7 victory over Vanderbilt. The Commodores, and that's a good win for LSU, who's lead the stake. They took care of business as we were able to climb back up into the winning column. We go 1-1 on this one as we head into the season. I'm bringing my co-host, Uncle Mozzy, on this edition of Tuff Tiger Talk. What's going on, Uncle Mozzy?
Oh, couldn't be better. Everything seems to be back as it should, or at least for the time being. We'll see next week when Missouri comes in the Tiger Stadium, and we'll see how we fare out against that. But for right now, I'm just focused on this 41-7 trouncing of the Vanderbilt shouldn't be in the SEC Commodores.
Yeah, they should be in Conference USA somewhere, but I think it's the fact that I think the academics is what uplifts them. I think that's one of the things that uplifts the overall grade point average. The SEC is Vanderbilt, what kind of school they are. So, I mean, but 41-7 in this one, man. LSU was able to take care of business. As Brennan, 23 of 47 in the matchup. He had 337 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception in the matchup. Mozzy, and overall as a team, they put up almost 500 yards of total offense. Vanderbilt could not match that. 266, 2 turnovers from Vandy on the day. LSU 28 first downs, Vanderbilt only 17 of them, even though Vanderbilt did win a time of possession by just over a minute, 30-47 versus 29-13. This was an interesting, man, as Miles Brennan was able to take care of business. He found a bunch of the wide receivers today for touchdowns. You had Jontre Kirkland and Terrace Marshall Jr. Those guys got involved as well. And even John Emery Jr. was able to get going, 12 carries, 103 yards, 1 touchdown in the matchup. What do you thought about LSU's win over the Vanderbilt Commodores, who now dropped to 0-2?
I mean, I can't hold too much stock into it. I mean, they're under the same constraints that every other NCAA football team, especially in the SEC. They didn't have any offseason anything either. Not to mention, they're already horribly disadvantaged, like the Tulanes and the Harvards. Every school except Stanford, every Ivy League school, honestly, except Stanford, because they're more heavily graded on academics. So it's tough to get those 4- and 5-star recruits because you're asking a 17, 18, 16-year-old kid inner city kid to serve 2 masters scholastically and athletically. Sometimes that's just a reach, and it just can't be done, which is why Vanderbilt predominantly has losing seasons, especially in the SEC, where everybody has this 2.5 GPA retention to get the scholarly, and that's it, where theirs is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of between 3 and 3.2, which, I mean, for the average athlete, just won't cut it. So knowing all of that information, looking at this big win, you got a bunch of 4- and 5-star recruits against a bunch of -1 and -2-star recruits. And it won't be until we start real conference play, probably start with Missouri next week. That's going to be a tough game because I understand we don't play them that often. We don't see them that often. With this storm that's supposed to be maybe heading our way, we just got to see. I don't know. I mean, there's a storm supposed to be heading. They don't have much information of it on it now, obviously, but it's some Greek alphabet, beta, gamma, alpha, Romeo, whatever. I don't know. But we'll know more about that going forward this week because that, again, may have an effect on the game. It just remains to be seen. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it's interesting, man, to see for the least. But this one here, we knew LSU had to take care of business and come out, and they did kind of lift up LSU Tiger Nation with the win to finish the game. We'll get into some of the individual and team statistics in a moment. First, let's hear what Coach Ogeron had to say upon LSU getting on the right side of things with a win over Vanderbilt. Here we go.
Had grit this week, came back. They worked all week. Guys wanted to get better leadership on this football team. I thought we played a complete game tonight. There were some mistakes, but our guys fought. We talked about finish. We finished the game. 500 yards of offense, 260-something yards of Vanderbilt. I thought the defense did a great job coming up with some big-time plays in the game. It definitely helped to have Derek Senior back. It made a difference. Thought the kicking game was outstanding, field goals and punting. We got to get better at kickoff coverage. Nice punt return by Derek. But there's some things to get better at. Red zone, we had to settle for field goals a couple of times. We missed a couple of plays. We dropped some balls. I thought John Emery ran the ball well. Good to see John Trey Kirkley getting involved. Overall, just a good win. It's a happy football team in this locker room. There.
Hey, Coach, we're getting a lot of background noise. Can you maybe just move the mic closer? That might.
Yeah, I just sent somebody out there to tell them to be quiet, just for you, Mike. All right, babe.
Appreciate that, bud. So much improvement. What are you most proud of? Either the offensive line, the secondary. It seemed like everybody really.
Yeah, I'm most proud of. Cam Wire started at left tackle. John Emery. John Trey Kirkland. You guys. In the offensive line blocked well. I thought Miles made some excellent plays. He missed some plays, but you know what? He did very well. Defense, I thought, Bo did a tremendous job of game planning these guys. We never panicked. We stuck with what we know. I thought we played solid football. There was a lot less mistakes in this football game than there were in the first.
Leading up into this game, you were talking about how you wanted the run game to be more involved. What can you say about John Emery's performance tonight? And second question, what kind of led to his start today? Was Curry not available? And maybe you could tell us a little bit about
that. Curry was not available, and him and Tyrone were going to share the ref. Tyrone started, but John got hot. Kevin kept him in. Josh came in at the end. But you know what? We've been seeing this John Emery runs. We've been seeing it in practice, and he finally got a chance in the game. So excellent job. And what I'm most proud of is him protecting the football.
Hey, Coach, obviously they jumped out on you guys early in that first half with the rushing attack. Just what was the message at halftime? And you guys, obviously were able to kind of improve there in that second half.
Just stay in the gap. We had guys getting cut out of the gap, guys jumping inside. Do your job. And we challenge our guys just to settle down and just do their job.
That's Coach O with his thoughts after the win over Vanderbilt 41-7 in the matchup. Looking at some of the team statistics, first down 28-17 LSU. They were 4 of 12 on third down. They were 1-1 on fourth down. Total yards 498 versus 266 by Vandy. LSU passed at 337 versus 113 by Vanderbilt. They couldn't get going. Seals, the quarterback, 11 of 25. The guy had 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 113 yards, really not anything to it. They averaged 9 yards per throw with Miles Brennan in there, so he was able to throw the ball pretty good. Rushing attack, 161 yards versus 153 by Vandy. 32 rushing attempts by LSU. They averaged 5 yards per carry in the matchup versus Vanderbilt, 153. 43 attempts at just under 4 yards an attempt. Penalties, LSU was 4 of 30, 5 for 24 for Vandy. Turnovers, 1 turnover by LSU, 2 by Vanderbilt. 1 was an interception, 2 of them interceptions by Vandy. Time possession, 30-47 Vanderbilt versus 29-13 for LSU. All right, Uncle Mozzy, we know that, with Miles Brennan, how do you see Brennan in this matchup? Of course, he was 23 of 37, like I said, 337, 4 touchdowns. He had a QBR of 84.8 in the matchup. But besides Miles Brennan was able to get on board with his passing game, John Emery Jr. was a major factor in this game as well. 12 carries, 103 yards, averaged just under 9 yards a rush. He had a touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown in the matchup. But LSU, as a rushing attack, had 32 rushes for 161 yards. They averaged 5 yards per rush, and they had a touchdown in the affair. What do you think about LSU's Miles Brennan and the rushing attack getting involved?
Obviously it was cool. We needed that. That wasn't a bad thing to get it rushing. But again, I don't I don't delve too deep into this ball club. I still think that Brennan was horribly incomplete. I mean, they did have some drops, some rhythm issues. I understand,
Mhm.
again, going back to those off-season things. So they're there. You can clearly see that they were there. Just so happens we played against Vanderbilt, but we got Florida and Alabama and everybody else coming up. So let's just kind of pump our brakes on this and just take this loss with a grain of salt. And we definitely need to win. But I still have a lot to be desired after last week's foolish loss to Mississippi State, who consequently I believe is going to lose today. And I think that their decline begins, which is kind of upsetting for the Tigers because that won't help us in the national rankings at all.
No, it most certainly won't. You look at what happened with that looking at that loss, and of course they're going to have to take care of business here on out. We can't have a disastrous loss to teams that are struggling, and you can't be medicine for other teams. So I mean, but this through the couple of games that we've seen of this LSU team, in this game, the receiving game, we thought they'll bring it. Of course, you mentioned some of the drops. Terrace Marshall Jr. had 2 catches, 67 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, averaged 33.5 yards on both those catches. John Trey Kirkland starting to move up into more of a focus role with the offense. 3 catches, 65 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Keyshawn Boot had 3 catches, 46 yards. Eric Gilbert, 4 catches, 43 yards. He hadn't exploded in an offense like I thought he should have been. On the defensive side, Jacoby Stevens led all tacklers with 11. Jabril Cox was next with 7. Stingley Jr. had 6. Andrew Anthony had 6. Cordell Flott had 4. Neil Farrell Jr. had 4, and so on and so forth. What do you think about LSU's defense in this one, Uncle Mozzy? Of course, we know that they came out the bat here and they were able to get 3 sacks in this matchup against Vanderbilt, like you said. But how you have any confidence in how poorish they look in the first week? Do you have any confidence in their play this week going into next week?
I mean, not from what I saw. I just saw a Vanderbilt team that wasn't able to deliver or punch it in the red zone. But I mean, they got fairly decent ball movement. So you got to ask yourself if Vandy is getting that kind of ball movement. Although they weren't able to capitalize on the scores, the rest of the SEC won't be like that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, it's fine that they got some stops and key stops, and they got them to punt the ball when they needed, but that didn't stop them from picking up some decent yardage against a Tiger defense that was supposed to be completely stout and built to stop teams of the caliber, on par with Alabama. I just don't see him doing that if we had that much trouble with Vanderbilt as far as minimizing the offensive production. Although the scoreboard was minimized, the offensive production really wasn't minimized given the caliber that this LSU Tigers team's defense is supposed to be playing at.
All right, now let's move into a quick preview of what it looks like against Missouri coming up next week. This team is winless. They don't have any wins on the season. They've been struggling. They got a true freshman quarterback sitting up there. What is, going into it, of course, you have Bezalek and a few other people, Roundtree, and a few of their top people there, offensively speaking. What is your thought process on them potentially getting a win against Missouri and building on top of this Vanderbilt win? I mean, this is definitely, like you said, we're not familiar with the Missouri team. We don't play them that often, but this could be a plus for us, being that we can bring the running attack. We starting to see some synchronicity. The question is the defense. Can the defense be consistent? They shut down Vanderbilt's offense, which was self-check pretty much. But Missouri, they can throw the ball. They can move the ball. What are your perception on the Missouri matchup coming up later on in the week, next week?
They don't play them that much. I mean, so that's going to be an obstacle. But I mean, I think if they play like they did today, it shouldn't be an issue. They should win. It remains to be seen. They got to kind of mix it up, or you have a bit more of a balance in attack. I don't think they're going to get it done throwing almost 40 times in one game. But I mean, that remains to be seen. I think they should be able to pull it out. Let's just hope they don't have any injuries, or they're barring any injuries, then they'll be all right. But that's why they play the game. We'll know next Saturday is that evening. They got it slated for. They should be giving us a night game sometime soon, huh? maybe 7 o'clock.
The next game it's going to be early in the morning. It's going to be an 11 o'clock game, I think it is, and then the following week we go back to 2:30 against Florida.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah. So we'll see how it shakes in that matchup. But Uncle Mozzy's not feeling. He's not. It's
my birthday week, so I'm optimistic, and I got to roll with him. So, I'll be 31 this Thursday. So October the 8th. Anybody, Cash App, is open. So I mean, cake. I love cookie cakes.
Tell the family members of the Tiger Nation your Cash App so they can donate for your birthday.
No, so $ We've got hair. I'll be 31. Thanks.
Okay.
You don't like that 31.
All right. Well, Uncle Mozzy's not feeling. Mozzy, I think this is going to be a tough game for LSU. I'm still confused on what kind of mindset this team has in terms of what they are. It just shows to me where it just seems like at times they're confused. I don't know. They have veteran coaches everywhere, but the talent is not showing the confidence with the players on the field. Like in the game last week that they came out the season and lost the first week, they had the players were saying the Mississippi State players were saying LSU players were complaining about being tired. And that's what he said during the press conference. He kept saying the LSU players complaining about being tired and yada yada. And the mentality, the mindset of the team, the body language of the team is not that of as a defending champion. It's like a defeated, heartless, ballless club that can't seem to get out of their way. That's stumbling and fumbling around and waiting for somebody to put them out of their misery. This is the perception I'm getting from about the defense and pretty much like when Miles Brennan not showing the leadership ability that you want a quarterback of a defending world champion team to do, and it's just what do you think on? I know that's a harsh critique, but what do you think about that?
As far as the coming back after having won a championship and trying to play championship football, you're expected. I mean, certain things are just expected of you. I mean, would you not agree? I would definitely agree that things are going to be expected of this team, and this team is going to have a mark on their back. They've got to come out and they've got to destroy. They got to start. I mean, they lost to Mississippi State. I know they were tired. That falls in line with everything that we can think of, but you just don't come out and lose handily like you did and allow somebody to run all up and down the field. So, I mean, yeah, we're going to be skeptical. Yeah, obviously nobody was skeptical for Vanderbilt. Come on now. But probably nobody would be skeptical for like Kentucky, but everybody else is like on the table, from the Missouri to Tennessee to, I mean, you name it, with the exception of Vanderbilt and Kentucky. I'm nervous. And I should not be this nervous coming off of the team that I saw last year. Now, they did have some ups and downs or whatever, but, I mean, you have expectations, and I'm a human, so I can't eliminate or work around or go around those expectations, if that makes sense to you. I got to kind of just man up and live with them. But I'm sure you and the rest of the family, y'all have y'all same vices about, what this team is going to be moving forward. The 1-1 I'm happy with, yes, but I expected 2-0. I'm sorry. Call me a whiner. Give me some cheese. It doesn't matter. But I want 2-0.
Yeah, this is and the way they lose, the way they lost to Mississippi State, they still having issues. They're still not there, and I wonder if it's a rhythm thing, whether or not they'll get online. But I guess this is something that we'll see expose itself as we move in the season to see what's the mentality of this team. Like in the first game last year against Texas, the Longhorns, that's when you seen the mentality or the heart of the team become real. So if that was, and that set the tone for the entire season. And after they went to that game and they were able to beat a tough Texas team, then they were able to build upon win. This team had a really horrible, ugly, heartless, garbage, ballless performance against Mississippi State. And is that the tone setting game for the season? You open the season up with that type of performance at home.
Right.
So, what's all that about?
Yeah,
right.
Man.
What's that all about? So let's move that into which team will we see? Will we see the Mississippi State team, or will we see the team that just beat Vanderbilt? That's the question.
the deal. I'm about to hit him with it.
But that's the question. We have to figure it out whether or not we moving forward. Which team will be the team that shows up? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, moving forward, you might get I would dare to say you'd have to get a team somewhere in between last year's team and what we saw at Mississippi State. It's not going to be a thing of it's not going to be a thing of they're going to be ready to go, or you're going to just see this great bounce back. That's not going to be it. Not for a couple games anyway. I mean, we know we're up against. We know we're late in the season, and we clearly understand that there's a lot going on. So in understanding that, we've got to have a common sense mantra that is going to be another 2 or 3 games. If they could get around Mizzou next week, that they could expound upon that, and then we can begin to build and repair. But we're going to have to get that game under our belt before we go and see Florida. Oh, my Jesus. And by that time, Florida could easily be a number 2 team, maybe a number 1 team in the country by the time, we play them. So, I mean, that's going to be our first big test. But we can't overlook them playing Missouri next week, overlooking to Florida, and then Florida knocks us up top of our head, and then we get our second loss of the season. And then, obviously that with a 10-game schedule, that kind of just eliminates us from any type of contingency for as national title, SEC title. The only title we probably get is the Donkey of the Day. But I mean, it is what it is. We got our championship, so I guess we have to just go on our little 5-year hiatus and rebuild. Whatever, it's cool. 2020 has sucked this far, so I'm not expecting anything different.
Yeah, this been a terrible start of the year for the Tigers. They have very little room for error. They opened up the season with a hideous loss in Mississippi State. They finally were able to get a win against Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt is self-checked, as I like to say. Now they got Missouri coming up, and Missouri have a true freshman quarterback named Connor Bezalek. True freshman quarterback. We'll have to shut down the run, and we'll have to confuse this passer, and we'll see if the defense is up for it, because from what I'm seeing, the defense, I don't know, man. I'm not confident in this shooting, and usually the defense is the strong point for LSU. This year, they're like the weakness, and I mean, maybe that's just early on, but we'll monitor and we'll keep it going. Well, this is the edition, the recap of Missouri. Vanderbilt's LSU LSU was able to take care of business against Vandy. This week they improved to 2-1, and they'll move into the next matchup against Missouri. So we'll see how that shakes. Thank you for joining us on Tough Tigers Talk today. I'm Big Q. Uncle Mozzy is our co-host, and we'll see you later. Go Tigers.
HomeBistro.com. Freshly prepared, home-delivered, restaurant-quality gourmet meals delivered straight to your home. Choose from over 50-plus gourmet meal options cooked by world-class chefs and delivered frozen, ready to eat within minutes and no commit. Welcome to the one-shop gourmet food delivery, specialized affordable options to eat right and feel great. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Every ingredient is handpicked to the highest standard. And why you should buy from HomeBistro.com? Restaurant quality, made with natural ingredients, delivered right to your door. Overnight shopping is available. Diabetic, paleo, heart health, and vegetarian options to eat. Doing business since 1999. Courteous, knowledgeable, and professional support. Complete PCI compliant SSL security ordering, and great meals. Choose from some of my favorite dishes: the Mediterranean chicken with orange honey sauce, charbroiled chicken romesco, or the grilled chicken breast with sweet and spicy vegetables. No matter what you choose, you can't lose with HomeBistro.com. Eat great, feel good, and save some money with HomeBistro.com. Hit the link in the description section below for more information.
I'm a Saints and Pelicans fan, so the only podcast I can get my fix is the Sports Coma with Big Q.